Well, as you guys know, I own an LTZ Chevy Silverado. I did not build this truck from the factory, and I kind of wish I did. But the good news is, if you are in the market and you're looking to order a Chevy Silverado, this video is going to be very helpful for you. Now, I do plan on doing a separate video for dually builds because there's a few things you should know about that too. Let's go ahead and jump outside. And now that I'm thinking about it, I do have a High Country. So we could do a comparison with the High Country and LTZ. So if you're new to my channel, as you guys saw in the thumbnail, my truck has big tires, and for an LTZ it has painted bumpers. This stuff is not optional. So I did do an upfit. I will link a video at the end of this one so you can watch it. But whenever you're looking at Ram trucks, Ram has a Limited, which is the top of the line, which is basically the High Country. They also have a Longhorn, which is the cowboy truck, and the Laramie. Ford has the Limited as well, which is their highest trim level that competes with High Country. They also have a Platinum, which is the second highest trim level, and then King Ranch, and then Lariat. The LTZ is the second highest trim level for Chevy, and although they are the price leader, there's a few things on this truck that I feel as though should be standard. Let's get started. I was going to pull the truck out of the garage, but I'm kind of enjoying the shade because it's probably like 95 degrees outside. But up front, do you guys see anything missing? Anything whatsoever? Now, I'm not talking about the active grill shutters because I think this truck should have that, but we're not going to talk about that in this video. But you guys see it on the bottom here? Anything missing? What about on the back? You should definitely notice it now. So first and foremost, this truck does not have parking sensors, front or rear. Now, I will give grace up front. You don't have to have standard front parking sensors, but out back, that should be standard. And even if it's not standard on a single rear wheel, it should definitely be standard on this dually. Because although you have a backup camera, it's nice to be able to have some type of sonar for these big hips. And obviously with this 8-foot bed, it's a little bit longer truck, which means it's a little harder to kind of figure out where you are in retrospect. And keep in mind too, a lot of people do mention how high the hoods sit on GM pickups. And I agree. This hood sits pretty high. When you level the truck like I did, this has like a 2¼ inch level. This truck is really hard to see over. So if I were to pull the truck into the garage and show it to you, I would not be able to tell you how far close I am to this car because it sits so low. So with that being said, I always back it in because it's so much easier. If you're looking to park, it is really hard to get a gauge of where you are. Are you guys ready for number 2? Here it is. This is number 2. Do you guys see what's missing? Some of you guys already can see it. Some of you guys have actually already said something to me about it. But yeah, no sliding glass. Thankfully, they did give you the defrost, but no sliding glass. This is the second highest trim level on this truck. Now, I did not look at this truck prior to seeing it. So I basically told the dealership I wanted to buy it, and I went on ahead and gave my credit application because I did finance this one. When I did see that this was missing in the parking sensors, I was like, I wish I did not say anything until I saw it. But the price point is why I bought this truck too, so I can't get too upset about it. And yeah, I think that not having a sliding glass, keep in mind, this truck does not have a sunroof. It makes this truck really hard to like live with because sometimes I like to at least open or vent the sunroof and also allow that rear glass to be open too, but that's not possible on this truck because those options are not available, or they're not standard. They are available, they're just not standard. By the way, my family just got home. Now this next one, this is probably one of my least favorite things this truck doesn't have, because sometimes when I'm traveling at night, this does come in handy. So let's go ahead and push this button here. That button turns on the lights above. They also turn on the lights in the bed, right? However, you see that? This truck did not come with lights. I was shocked by this one. You get the lights above, you get the lights right there for backing up, which are really handy, but they did not give you $100 lights for the bed standard. That was a big deal for me. And had I saw that, I probably would have either had them add them, or I probably wouldn't have bought the truck. Like, this is a big deal for me, because sometimes even at nighttime, I like to put stuff in the bed, and it's just nice to have more light. And because I have this bed cover now, I can't just, see things inside of here, so it's even worse. So I would have even given up this light here for the bed lights. Seriously, like, that is a big deal for me. And so the number 3 is probably one I should have ended with, but yeah, it's gonna get more interesting. Number 4. So as you guys see, I have 2 garage doors, and obviously when you have 2 garage doors, you need to have home link. Let's see if this truck has home link. They don't really call it that. I think they call it like a universal garage door opener, but it's home link in my book. So home link should be right there. Is it there? Nope. Number 4, this truck has no home link. So now I have to ride around with this guy on my sun visor. So when I sell this truck at some point, I'm gonna forget about it and it'll be in the trash at the dealership. I think that home link should almost come standard on any car over $20,000, which is probably every car at this point. But yeah, no home link on an $80,000 truck, that right there is a big deal. Obviously, my wife's Wagoneer. By the way, this thing has no options on it. Home link came standard. And actually, this Wagoneer is cheaper than that Chevy. Obviously, High Country, that comes standard. Also, sliding glass comes standard. This is why I never buy low trim levels, because I know I'm missing something that I did not pick on the build sheet every time. Number 5, the second highest trim level did not come standard with Bose sound system. Now, let me be the first to say it. My High Country has the Bose sound system. I don't think it's that good, which is why I think they definitely should put it in this truck, and they need to up their game for the High Country. They need to give it some 15, 16 speaker sound system. My Ram 3500 Limited with the Harman Kardon, nothing can touch it. Highs, lows, mids, that truck had it all. If you blasted the sound system in that truck, it was clear 100%. But in this truck, you can definitely tell the sound system is lacking. Now, I don't listen to music all the time, because sometimes I just like to be in complete silence after a long day. But there are times where you go on a long trip, you're towing your trailer. It would be nice to be able to have some tunes that sound good. Now, these speakers aren't terrible, but you can definitely tell it's a low level sound system. I had to go get my key for this final point, number 6. This right here could prevent me from buying a future Chevy diesel. So anytime you have a diesel, it's minus 10 degrees outside. What you normally do is you hit the electronic parking brake. Next, all you have to do is just push down on, or maybe you push up. Or no, maybe it's down, or maybe it's up. I can't remember. Well, my point is, high idle is an option. Whether this be a work truck model or a High Country, every diesel should come standard with high idle switch. And it's because most dealers don't know or don't buy these types of pickups. Here's why I prefer high idle to be standard. If you plan on traveling cross country or even to a destination that's really far from your home and you don't plan on unhooking your trailer, the high idle switch is definitely something you need. So for example, if it's 20 degrees outside and you couldn't make it to your destination because, you know, you got tired, you pulled off, if you're a hot shot, you decide to go to a Love's truck stop, rest for the night. When you start the truck early in the morning, it's good to have the high idle because it allows that engine to get up to operating temp a little bit quicker. Most of you guys don't even switch over to a winter oil, which is basically the full synthetic, which is a 5 weight basically versus, or is it a 5W40 I think it is, versus a 15W40. Yeah, you have to switch over to a 5W40, and I know a lot of people don't do that. So with that being said, you can obviously use your engine block heater, and you probably should use that if it's like minus 10 degrees outside or something like that. But if you don't have access to use that, then the high idle is the next best thing. So before you start driving, you know, and towing a 15,000 pound trailer, if you're using a 15W40 oil, you could potentially damage your engine if you do it too often by starting from cold and allowing that oil to run through the engine to get it nice and lubricated basically. So that's why the high idle is a good thing, because it's supposed to run through the system a couple times and warm up, because if it's a higher viscosity, it takes longer for it to run through the engine. Same thing goes with your lawnmower or your generator. You know, I normally start it a few times before I actually start the engine to allow the engine oil to run through it if it's been a couple months before I've started something up. So I hope this video was helpful. I think that the things I listed here should definitely come standard. Now don't get me wrong, this truck was $78,000. I didn't pay that for it, but that was the MSRP for this truck. And I was actually looking at a Ram that was pretty comparable. Now it did have more options, but it was 20 grand more. So that was a Laramie pickup. This is an LTZ, which are pretty much, you know, comparable. And yeah, you just can't beat the price point, but there are some things they should add. And hey, if they raise the price by $1,000 for everything that I listed here, I think that would be fair. Bed lights, home link system, parking sensors, not necessarily in the front, but at the very least in the rear, a high idle, and both sound systems. I think that's about $1,000 worth of stuff, right? Oh well. See you guys next video.